Steel Among the Stars Prologue, year 2796. Outer Orbit Earth Perimeter Defense Grid. They came wrapped in silence, cloaked in starlight, an armada of black ships blotting out the sun. To them, Earth was a forgotten relic, a primitive world, tucked at the edge of a quiet system. A stepping stone, a conquest easily claimed. They had no idea. For 3 centuries, humanity had vanished from the galactic stage. No signals, no trade, no contact. Whispers in deep space said Earth had fallen to its own madness. Civil wars, rogue AIs, planet-wide collapse. But that wasn't the truth. Humanity hadn't died. It had evolved. Beneath the surface of their scorched cities, among the hollowed mountains and repurposed moons, mankind was preparing, not out of fear but out of memory. The memory of being hunted, the memory of almost breaking. When the alien fleet breached the outer rim, they expected a welcome of confusion and panic. Instead, they were met with silence. Then, one by one, their lead ships vanished, consumed, by a defense net they couldn't detect. No warnings, no mercy. In the shadows of their arrival, Earth woke up. Grave metal mechs rose from ocean vaults. The steel chorus sang through vacuum, a harmonic scream that shattered enemy code. Orbit burned red as Mars deployed dreadnoughts forged from planetary cores. And for the first time in their expansion, the invaders felt something foreign. Fear, because humanity was no longer a species. We were a weapon, and we had been waiting. Chapter 1. Silence over Soul. The stars above Earth shimmered like frozen fire, untouched and unbothered, until the void broke. They came in waves. First, the Vanguard spears, long needle-like cruisers designed to pierce planetary defense. Grids. Then the hive haulers, bloated with bio-soldiers and terraforming drones. Last came the Judgment Crown, the flagship, its hull lined with bones of prior conquests, a symbol of certainty, an empire on autopilot. The Thal Zor did not question their victories anymore. They simply collected them. Commander Vezkar Nathun, supreme strategist of the Crown Fleet, stood motionless in his command spire, his many eyes blinking asynchronously as data poured in. Planet designation, ER-001, the AI chorus, whispered. Initial scans, minimal electromagnetic activity, civilization level unclear. Recommend soft incursion, Vezkar chittered. Begin planetary descent. Send scouts. And that's when the first anomaly struck. One of the Vanguard ships, Talon 12, simply disappeared. No explosion, no signal, no debris. Gone. Then another, and another. 6 ships, shredded from existence in under 4.3 seconds. The command bridge dimmed slightly. The crew grew quiet, not in fear, not yet, but in confusion. That was worse. Vezkar hissed. Begin full spectrum scan. Something is here. Still, the sky showed nothing but blue and black. Earth floated below like a lamb. Then the sky blinked, and the ghost grid came alive. Billions of nanofibers, invisible until activation, stretched across Earth's upper orbit. A trap, not for defense, but for execution. White-hot beams arced across the darkness. Automated kill swarms, tiny machines with no allegiance but fury, tore through alien hulls like locusts through silk. Vezkar's spines stood on. And this was no backwater. This was no primitive world. This was a war zone waiting for a victim. Location, Earth, Subterranean Command, Bastion Core. Contact made, said Commander Naira Vale, watching the orbital feed as alien vessels erupted. Like fireworks in reverse. They've taken the bait. Around her, deep inside Earth's core facility, dozens of tacticians, cyber scribes, and linked AIs monitored the battlefield. Giant holoscreens bloomed with data, vector paths, kill stats, orbital decay patterns. Deploy the steel chorus, Naira said, voice calm. From the dark side of the moon, sleek vessels began to move. Not flown, not piloted, awakened. The steel chorus, sentient warships, each grown from living metal and bonded to quantum minds, began to sing. The stars themselves seemed to shiver. Meanwhile, Martian orbit high above the rusted planet, Commander Dax. Halron flexed his augmented fingers as a mech frame sealed around his body. His grave metal unit, Argent 07, synced with his neural feed. "They're here," he muttered. A voice responded from inside the suit. It was smooth, familiar. "Let's remind them who owns this system." Chapter 2. The Sound of War-Thalzor Dominion Fleet. Orbit over Earth panic was not something the Thalzor understood. Emotion had long been suppressed by their genetic architects. Their soldiers did not fear. Their commanders did not doubt. Their ships were programmed for domination, not hesitation. But as the steel chorus began to sing, something deep in the Thalzor mind core trembled. At first, the sound was imperceptible, a frequency just below detection. But it grew. A hum. A resonance. And then it became language. The warships weren't just weapons, they were broadcasting. "We see you, we remember. We are what you made us become." The Judgment Crown's forward decks began to fracture. Not from impact, but from vibration. The sonic data waves struck at the molecular level, unraveling the very structure of the hull. One of the Thalzor lieutenants convulsed, his cyber brain overloaded. The ships are speaking. Not to us, to each other. They're coordinating without signal. Commander Vezkar's claws twitched, his calm cracking. How long have the humans had this? No one answered, because no one knew. Earth, Bastion Core, Command Deck Nyra. Vale watched through the main holofield as enemy fleet formations collapsed into chaos. A few ships broke ranks, desperate to escape the radius of the steel choruses. "Harmonic zone. They're scrambling," she said flatly. "Push the pressure." Behind her, an AI avatar flickered into view. A silver-eyed projection of Earth's central command construct. Astra 9. "Authorization granted for Operation Red Halo," Astra intoned. "Unleashing Argent units. All quantum-linked operators. On alert." Nyra gave a slight nod. "Tell them it's time." Mars orbit above the forge line. The skies above Mars lit up red as orbital gateways cracked open. Lightning arcs connected the rings, creating pathways from the surface into near-Earth space. Out of them, the Argent Battalion launched, mech frames the size of buildings, their bodies forged from reactive alloy and piloted by the elite, humanities. Ghostborn. At their lead was Dax Halron, now fully immersed in Argent 07. The stars reflected off his visor. The data feed poured into his skull. Targets acquired. Override authorization, open kill lanes. He rocketed forward, silent as a knife in the dark. Inside the alien flagship, Judgment Crown Vezkar slammed his staff into the deck. "Deploy." "The Cleaver drones saturate the planet. I want their surface glassed." But before the command could be confirmed, alarms began to scream. Infiltration detected. Decks 12 through 18. Breached. Not by weapons, by humans. A boarding party, mech-armored, silent, already inside the flagship. No detectable transport. No teleports. They had arrived somehow, unseen. One of them stepped through the smoke, cloaked in angular armor that shimmered like liquid shadow. The soldier lifted a weapon, a railgun with a glowing spinal cord along its frame, and fired. The round tore through 3 Thalzor officers and exploded inside a control node. Vezkar stared at the human. For the first time in 9,000 cycles, he felt something he could not name. Not confusion, not anger. Dread. Chapter 3. Ghostborn Low Orbit. Above Earth, the battlefield had become a graveyard. Chunks of alien hull drifted like skeletal remains through low orbit, glowing faintly in the Earthlight. Debris fields spiraled silently. Shards of Thalzor, cruisers, liquefied by precision rail strikes, floated alongside fragments of their crew. And in the silence, movement. Sleek figures in dark armor zipped through the wreckage. They didn't need propulsion systems. Their suits pulsed with directional gravity fields. They were hunters. They were ghostborn. Dax Halron tore through a drone with a single arm blade sweep, Sparks burst in every direction. "Status," he said over the shared quantum link. "Breach squads Alpha and Delta report secured nodes. 5. More decks to clear. Crown's AI is fragmenting. Good. Stay focused. Astra's got eyes on their primary core. We move in 10. Across the breach team, a dozen command lights blinked green. They didn't need to speak. Ghostborn didn't. Use words when they went to war. Flashback. Earth. 20 years earlier, the child screamed as the neural implant fused with her spine. She was 9 years old. They called her Riven. The lab was sterile, white, filled with instruments of pain repurposed into tools of progress. Scientists observed, emotionless. Soldiers stood guard, and above them, watching silently from the observation deck, was Nira Vale. Ghostborn weren't trained. They were built. Orphans, runaways, survivors, children taken in by the Bastion Protocol, given a chance at something more. Then being forgotten, or left behind, they became weapons. Human-AI hybrids, quantum-linked assassins, and Riven? She was the first one who ever survived the full sync without screaming again. Present, inside the judgment, Crown Riven moved, like a shadow wrapped in steel. Where Dax was brute force, Riven was silence and efficiency. Her presence barely registered even on Allied scans. Her suit designed to phase shift between light states, flickering in and out of perception. She drifted between Thalzor drones, planting zero-point charges and neural jammers with the precision of a surgeon. She spoke once, softly. Charge set. Primary AI node is blind. Permission to engage cognitive uplink. Astra 9's voice came through her ear. Granted Ghostborn 01, uplink and extract memory core. Riven knelt beside the Crown's brainstem, a seething organic mass of psionic gel and machine nerves. She placed both hands on it. Pain lanced through her mind. Visions, worlds, screams. She saw Earth, from above, not as it was now, but as it had been, centuries ago. And something else, a shape, buried beneath the planet's crust. Sleeping, watching, she pulled back, gasping, disoriented. This wasn't just a war. The Thalzor weren't invading to conquer. They were trying to stop something. Thalzor. High Command. Encrypted transmission from a secret stronghold far beyond the system. A distorted voice rippled across the Dominion's dark space relay. Crown Fleet status. Compromised. Earth is not what we believed. The humans, they are fractured, yes, but focused, obsessed. Do not send more ships. There was a pause. A long, hissing silence. Then, prepare Phase 2. Chapter 4. Beneath the Silence Earth. Bastion Core, deep restricted sublevel. The lift hissed open. Commander Nira Vale stepped into the vault of echoes, her boots clanging against metal older than any recorded human civilization. Lights flickered. Ancient symbols pulsed along the walls. Not in English. Not in any human language. Accessing classified tier. Black 0. Astra 9 intoned. Its voice slower here. More uncertain. Override confirmed. Nira replied. I want the truth. The room responded. A hidden panel slid open, revealing a vertical column of liquid memory crystal, glowing a dull, dangerous red. It hummed, and then it spoke, not in words, in images. Visions from the core. The memory crystal flooded Nira's mind with flashbacks, not from her life, but from Earth's past, not recorded history, buried history. There was a city, impossibly massive, buried beneath the Earth's mantle, encased in artificial gravity and sealed with multidimensional locks. There were humans there, or something that resembled them. Taller, smarter, infinitely older. They called themselves the Primarchs, and they weren't builders. They were jailers. The planet hadn't always been a home. It had been a prison. Thalzor intelligence briefing, hidden relay. Outpost, a circle of Dominion strategists studied the last data uplink from the Judgment Crown before it went dark. They watched the ghost image of Riven uploading the memory core. They saw the flash of the sleeping shape deep in Earth's crust, saw the signs, the symbols, the energy signature. One whispered, "It's still alive." Another hissed, "They were supposed to have buried it forever." A third bared its fangs. "The humans don't know what they're guarding. They think they built their weapons to fight us." "They didn't," said the eldest among them. "They built them to stop that." A long silence. Then, Phase 2 must begin. Not to conquer Earth, but to contain it. Earth orbit. Riven's return. Riven's shuttle docked with the Bastion Spire, her armor steaming from energy overexposure. Dax was already there, waiting, suit half open, sweat beading down his neck. "What the hell happened in there?" asked. Riven didn't answer at first. She looked up at the sky, not at the stars, at the planet. "We're standing on a grave," she finally said, "and something down there is waking up." She looked at Naira, who now entered the hangar. "We're not fighting the Thalzor anymore," Riven whispered. "They were just..." "The first alarm bell." Naira stared at her. "I know. Cut 2. The deep core, Earth miles beneath Earth's surface, beyond human access or knowledge." Something stirred. A single eye opened, ancient and molten and endless, the last of the Primarch locks cracked, and in the darkness something smiled. Chapter 5. The first seal location, Earth, Bastion Core war table level. The war table flickered to life, casting the room in cold blue light. Holographic maps spun with terrifying clarity, orbital debris fields, Thalzor remnants fleeing. To beneath it all, the new signal. It wasn't alien, it wasn't human. It was older. Commander Naira Vale stood beside Dax and Riven, their faces lit by the pulsing heartbeat of the subterranean scan. Astra 9's voice was taut. "We have confirmation. The first seal beneath the Pacific subcrustal vault has cracked. Energy signature unknown. Biotemporal anomalies detected." Dax exhaled, slow and heavy. Translation: "Something's moving." "Worse," Riven said. "Something's listening." Naira stepped forward. "We were never meant to find this, not us, not anyone." She touched the holomap, zooming in. Deep beneath the oceanic plate, the seal pulsed, like a heartbeat. Flashback. The Primarch archive, memory transfer. Riven twitched. The memories she'd absorbed from the Thalzor core still burned in the back of her skull. She closed her eyes and saw it. A circle of Primarchs, clad in living armor, chanting in frequencies beyond language. In the center, a cage made of dimensional chains. Inside, a being of shifting form, made of light, shadow, and hunger. It had no name. They only called it the Hollow Star, and they locked it beneath Earth. Not to destroy it, but to hide it from the rest of the universe. Thalzor Vanguard, retreating Warclaw vessel. "We cannot run fast enough," said the surviving Thalzor priest aboard the Warclaw. "Even in defeat, we were too late. The ship's AI tried to stabilize failing systems. The stars outside twisted, not from speed, but from distortion. Reality around them rippled. Then the priest screamed as his vision was swallowed by an image not meant for mortal minds. A great black sun rising over Earth, bleeding light backward through time. Earth orbit. Steel Chorus conclave ship Echo 13. The Steel Chorus had stopped singing. That terrified everyone. Astra 9 relayed an emergency broadcast. All Chorus ships report sudden desynchronization. Harmonic unity disrupted. Core frequencies destabilized. Dax watched from the bridge of Echo 13, eyes narrowed. What does that mean? The Chorus responded for the first time in hours, in a language no one had programmed them to know. It whispered, "We remember the Hollow Star. We were made to fight it, but we were never meant to win." Pacific Subcrustal Vault. Primary. Containment Ring A Special Forces team was dispatched to investigate the anomaly site. Deep in the ocean, at the edge of a black trench, they found a chamber glowing with impossible light. One that shouldn't exist under Earth's natural layers. Inside, they found glyphs swirling on their own, defying gravity. One operative touched a glyph. There was a blinding flash, and then there was nothing, except his voice still transmitting on loop. "It sees us. It knows our names. It's not asleep anymore. Chapter 6. Descent. Protocol location. Bastion Core. War Vault Omega. The lights inside War Vault Omega shifted from white to red. That had only happened once before, during the Bastion Initiative's founding, when the threat of planetary annihilation demanded absolute secrecy and total readiness. Now the alarms returned, but quieter. Not screaming, warning, whispering. Commander Nira stood before the gathered council, military heads, AI envoys, ghost-born tacticians, and deep void strategists. They all looked at the same pulsing signature, the cracked seal beneath. The Pacific, now identified by the Steel Chorus as Site 0. "I'm initiating descent protocol," Nira said, eyes cold. "This is not a war we win from orbit." Across the room, murmurs broke out. "You want to send a team down there? We don't know what we're dealing with." "It's not a weapon, it's a mind." Riven stepped forward, helmet under her arm. She spoke for the first time in minutes. "We either go down, or we wait for it to come up." Silence. Above. Earth, Steel Chorus remnants. The chorus ships hovered, quiet and dimmed, their energy fields unstable. Inside Echo 13, Dax Halloran watched the stars ripple. "They're not ships anymore," he muttered. "They're remembering." One ship suddenly moved, not under command, but as if pulled by gravity from below, from Earth. A voice crackled from the chorus's core. "Summoned. Forged in light, broken by silence. We return to the tomb." Then the chorus began, descending none on their own. Site 0. Descent begins Earth's most advanced tunneling dropship, the Hollowblade, launched from a floating ocean platform, diving into the black waters. Its reinforced gravitech drill spiraled downward, piercing into the Earth's crust. Inside, Riven, Dax, 2 other Ghostborn, and a 3-member science contingent. Time didn't feel right down there. Astra 9's voice started lagging, then looping, then saying things it had never been programmed to say. "Your name was not your first. They remember you, Dax Halloran. You were one of them once." He stared at the comm unit. "What the hell does that mean?" Riven didn't respond. She was watching something outside the reinforced window. Movement. In the rock. Shapes that shouldn't move in solid stone. Mid-descent. Psychological collapse. The Hollowblade hit a gravitational shear. Everything inside twisted. Time dilated. One of the scientists began screaming, clutching his head. "I see the star. I see it turning. It's not a place. It's a memory. It's..." The man dropped dead. No wounds, no cause, just gone. Riven breathed hard. "It's testing us." Dax looked at her. "Testing what?" "Whether we're strong enough to open the next seal." Cutaway. Deep core beneath them, the second seal pulsed, glowing brighter with every heartbeat. From above, and something moved behind it, not just a creature, a consciousness older than time, and it was amused. Chapter 7. The City Beneath the Stars location. Site 0, beneath the Pacific. The Hollowblade finally pierced through the last layer of solid rock, its thrusters cutting through the thickening atmosphere of the inner mantle. The deep space drill collapsed into place, activating the entrance to the ancient Primarch vault. And then, everything went still. Outside, in the silent black of the subterranean void, they saw it. A city. Not just a ruin. Not just a fragment. A sprawling, impossible metropolis, made of materials unknown, shapes defying logic suspended in anti-gravity fields, columns stretched into the void, gigantic pylons swirled in fractal designs. And in the center, where the gravity seemed thickest, was a tower, stretching beyond sight, like a needle piercing the fabric of the world itself. Riven stepped forward, her boots landing softly on the smooth alien stone. "This isn't just a city," she whispered. "This is a prison." Inside the city, the Hall of Echoes, the team walked into the Hall of Echoes, a cavernous space with walls that shimmered as if they were made of liquid memory. Every step they took caused the air to hum, a low, ancient resonance that made their minds itch. Everything here is alive. said Dr. Alara, the chief scientist. Her voice trembled. The walls aren't just stone. They're communicating, Riven said, scanning the surface of the walls with her neural implant. Dax was silent, his eyes fixed on the massive shapes etched into the walls. Humanoid figures, some standing, some kneeling. They weren't human. They were something older, something that had made humans. He clenched his fist, mind racing. The Primarchs, the first inhabitants of Earth, the keepers of the Hollow Star, they built this city, this prison. And they were gone. But their technology, their legacy, was still here. Riven's voice cut through the silence. It's not just their technology, it's their consciousness. The city is a network. A voice responded. You are here, the Hollow Star. It's awakening. The tower pulsed in the distance slowly at first, but as they moved closer it began to breathe, and then the ground began to shift. Energy surged from deep within the tower, cascading through the walls like liquid fire. A colossal shape began to emerge from the depths of the tower, an entity of shifting light and shadow, neither solid nor liquid, its form constantly changing. It was everything and nothing at once. It watched them, not with eyes, but with a mind, the Hollow Star, the being that had been locked away for millennia, the source of the Primarch's imprisonment, and now it was waking. The awakening Dax felt a surge in his mind, a pressure, a pull. His breath caught. He saw visions, not of his life, not of the world above, but of another time, another place. The Primarchs gathered around the Hollow Star, chained and bound by their own will. They whispered, "We must make the prison stronger, for if it breaks, all will be undone." Then he saw humanity, not as it was, but as it would be. A race of parasites, feeding off the life of worlds, pushing toward the inevitable cataclysm. The Hollow Star's presence flooded Dax's mind, hearing his thoughts and speaking to him. You have come. Just as they did before you, you seek to control me, to use me, but I was born to end this cycle. The choice. The Hollow Star's voice was everywhere, inside every mind, inside the very walls. It spoke through the team, through the Hollow Blade. I am the beginning, I am the end, I am beyond the stars. Riven took a step forward. What do you want from us? The Hollow Star's voice twisted, fragmented. It was both soft and overwhelming. You are a part of me, just as they were and just as they will be again. The time of your species will pass, as all things do. But in the darkness you must decide, will you ascend with me, or will you fall like those before you? Dax felt the weight of the words. His pulse quickened. The Hollow Star was giving them a choice. Ascend. But how? Before he could speak, the walls around them began to distort, the city groaning under the weight of the Hollow Star's influence. The Primarchs had made a decision long ago, to lock away the Hollow Star, to protect themselves from its power. But now they were all connected. The Hollow Star was the future, and it was calling. Cut to the surface back at Bastion Core. Nyra stared out at the Pacific Ocean, her face pale. Something deep below was stirring. The signal from the Hollow Blade flickered on and off. The deeper they descended, the harder it was to keep contact. She turned to Astra 9. What's the status of the descent? Astra's voice crackled, its tone unnervingly confused. They're too far. The signal is becoming too distorted. Nyra clenched her fists. They can't be too far. We need them back. Chapter 8. The last eclipse location. The city beneath. The heart of the Hollow Star. The city had changed, not in structure, not in appearance, but in presence. The Hollow Star's consciousness was now fully awake, rippling through the air like an invisible tide. The team moved through the sprawling chambers of the city, but everything felt off. The walls no longer whispered, they sang. The gravity shifted, the walls seemed to move, and the Hollow Star's influence crept into their minds. Riven was the first to fall. Her hand went to her head and she dropped to her knees. It's Too much, I can feel it. It's in me. Dax rushed to her side, shaking her. Riven, stay with me. She looked up at him, her eyes wide, pupils dilated. It's showing me everything. All the lifetimes, all the worlds. It's consumed. This has to stop. The hollow star spoke to her, its voice a million fragmented whispers. You are one of us, Riven. You were made for this moment, to be reborn, as we were. Her breathing came fast, erratic. She clawed at her suit's neural interface, trying to shut out the flood of alien knowledge. And then she heard it. The call. It was a sound. A frequency that resonated deep within her bones. Her voice was barely a whisper. It wants me to stay. It wants me to help it escape. Inside the tower, the final seal at the center of the city, the tower loomed, a massive spire of ever-changing material, glowing with an ethereal light that seemed to bend the space around it. The hollow stars. Presence grew more intense as they approached. The final seal was here. The Primarchs had used everything in their power to create this last barrier, binding the hollow star within the city itself. But the seal was weakening, cracking. Time itself seemed to bend as the hollow star's power reached out to consume reality. Dax clenched his fists. We need to stop this now. We can't let it reach the surface. Riven looked up at him, her voice shaking. How? How do we stop something that can rewrite everything? The same way we trapped it before, Dax said, determination growing in his voice. The Primarchs made this place to contain it, not just physically but mentally. We need to lock it back in. We have to cut off its connection to the world. Riven's eyes filled with conflict. But we are connected now. Every mind here. We're all part of it. The hollow star's voice filled the air, more insistent, more seductive. Why fight what you are? Why fight your true selves? A ripple passed through the air, reality warped. The final seal at the base of the tower was shifting, unraveling, as though it had never been truly solid in the first place. Light began to bend, time stretching. Everything inside the tower began to tremble. A moment of truth. Riven stood stepping away from Dax, her helmet reflecting the pulsating glow of the tower. I can hear it. It's reaching into my mind, into all of us. It's showing us the future, what we could become, what we could have been. Riven. Dax shouted, "Don't listen to it." But she couldn't pull away. She was torn between the primal call of the hollow star, the knowledge, the power it offered, and her loyalty to humanity. And then, everything froze. The hollow star's presence filled every inch of the chamber, a silent force that pressed down on them, urging them to ascend, to become something more. Dax, heart-pounding, pulled Riven back from the edge, forcing her to focus. Riven, you're not alone. We fight this, together. We lock it away or we lose everything. For a moment, she didn't respond. Then, in the flickering light of the hollow star's influence, Riven whispered, "We don't even know if we can stop it." And in that moment, everything clicked into place. The hollow star wasn't just a creature or a force. It was a mind, an intelligence, an entity that could twist and manipulate everything, even reality. It didn't just want to escape. It wanted to reshape everything into its own image. The question wasn't whether they could stop it, but whether they could survive long enough to stop it. The final choice. Dax's mind raced. There was one last weapon they had, one the Primarchs had left behind. It was their final lock, an ancient device built into the core of the tower. The problem was, it was meant to be activated by the hollow star itself. But that meant letting it control them. Dax, I can't. Riven's voice wavered. If we use the lock, it will have us forever. He gripped her by the shoulders, forcing her to look at him. We can't do this alone. We need to trust each other, trust the humanity we're fighting to protect. For a long moment, Riven didn't speak. Then, with a fierce resolve, she nodded. Let's do it, the activation. With their minds synchronized, Dax and Riven approached the final lock. As the device powered up, the Hollow Star's power surged one last time, trying to break through their wills. But together they focused. The lock activated, flooding the tower with an overwhelming wave of energy. The Hollow Star screamed, its voice filling the chamber with unspeakable force. "You are nothing." Reality cracked, time slipped. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, the Hollow Star vanished. Cut to Earth's surface. Above, on Earth's surface, the ocean began to still. The energy signature that had been pulsing from Site 0 blinked out. Quiet. They had done it. Chapter 9. Echoes of the Hollow Location. Bastion Core. Surface Command, Naira. Vale sat alone in the war room, watching the empty oceans through the panoramic windows. The silence was heavy, the kind that pressed down on you like the weight of an entire world. The Hollow Blade team hadn't made contact for hours, and the last signal from them had been nothing but static. Echoes, they'd succeeded. The Hollow Star had been sealed. But something about it felt wrong. A deep unease settled in her chest. A sudden beeping from her console broke the silence. The comm channel was active, but it wasn't from the Hollow Blade. It was from below. From Site 0. She keyed in the connection. Underground. The Hollow Blade's return. The Hollow Blade's hull scraped against the city's surface, dragging along the ground as it emerged from the depths of the earth. The surface doors hissed open. With a sharp, metallic groan, and the team stepped out. Dax was the first one out, his face grim. He didn't speak as he exited the ship. His eyes were wide, but there was no joy in their return. Behind him, Riven was silent too. She moved like someone who had seen too much, someone who wasn't sure if they could ever escape the horror that lingered in their mind. Naira immediately approached them. Status? Dax's eyes flickered to Riven, who remained distant, eyes fixed on the horizon. He looked back at Naira, his voice hollow. "We sealed it. We sealed it. And what happens now?" "Now." Dax paused. "I'm not sure." The Hollow Star's remnants. Riven stepped forward, her voice softer than usual. "The Hollow Star is sealed, yes, but its influence isn't gone. It's still inside us." Naira's brows furrowed. "What do you mean?" "I saw it," Riven said quietly. "I saw everything it wanted. It showed me the future, not just for humanity, but for everything. The stars, the universe." She looked up, meeting Naira's gaze. "It was calling to me, to all of us. And I—" Dax stepped in, his hand on Riven's shoulder. "We fought it back, but there's something we don't understand yet. It's as if we're connected to it, like it's always been here." Back at the core, unease spreads back in Bastion Core. Systems were being checked. But it wasn't just the Hollow Blade team that felt the change. Across Earth, strange anomalies began to surface. Atmospheric conditions shifted unpredictably. Power grids fluctuated. And then, most troubling of all, large-scale memory disturbances began to appear. Location: global network. Power grid disruption. A senior technician in the Global Power Grid Control Center watched in horror as the lights in every major city began to flicker. Then they went out entirely. The systems reset. Power surged. Then it began. People across the world started to experience visions, fragments of memories that weren't theirs, glimpses of another time, of worlds that had never existed, cities in the sky, oceans that stretched beyond imagination. But these weren't dreams. They were real, as if the Hollow Star's consciousness was leaking into their minds. The distant echoes back on the surface. Naira stood at the observation deck, staring out at the ocean. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The Hollow Star had been sealed beneath Earth's crust, but its presence still lingered, and then something far more disturbing happened. The sky itself began to shift. At first, it was subtle, a faint ripple, like a disturbance in the atmosphere. Then it grew. The stars above started to distort, flickering and warping like light through water. The Earth trembled. The Hollow Star wasn't just a creature. It wasn't just a force locked below. It was an idea, a consciousness that wasn't bound by the rules of space and time. It was everywhere. The truth revealed Riven's voice echoed in Nyra's mind, the words they had spoken in the depths of the city now returning. We were never meant to fight it. The hollow star isn't something that can be stopped. It is the cycle. Dax looked over at Nyra. It's not gone, Nyra. We've only locked it down, but it's already spreading. The hollow star has always been part of us. A new report came in from the global network. Memories from the past 24 hours are beginning to shift. Patterns indicate. Suddenly, a jolt of energy surged through the command center, knocking everyone off balance. Lights flickered as a new signal broadcasted across every communication network. The message was short, a single line of code, repeated over and over again, written in the language of the Primarchs. The hollow star has returned. Cut to the Hollow Blade's crew psychological collapse. Riven was back inside the Hollow Blade, sitting alone in the cockpit. She stared at her reflection in the glass, the flickering stars above her stretching and bending in strange patterns. She could feel the pull again, not of the hollow star itself, but of its mind, and it was calling her once more. We are one. You were born to ascend. Her hands trembled as she gripped the controls. She could feel it, the connection. The hollow star was a part of her, of everyone who had touched it, and it would never let them go. The final revelation back on Earth's surface, Nyra stood with Dax, the horizon slowly being overtaken by a strange glowing eclipse. The hollow star's presence was like a shadow in the sky, not bound by the physical world but by something greater. The final seal might have been locked, but the ideas behind it were only just beginning to take shape. The cycle wasn't over. It was only beginning. And now, humanity faced a choice: to ascend, as the hollow star had promised, or to face an even greater destruction. Chapter 10. The Ascension Location, Bastion Core, Control Center. The control center was in chaos. Panic had swept across the globe as the skies continued to shift, the stars flickering in unnatural patterns. It was no longer just an anomaly. It was a full-on manifestation of the hollow star's power. People were terrified, unsettled. Memories had begun to change, blending with the past, and the very fabric of reality seemed to be slipping. Nyra stood in the center of the control room, her mind racing. The eclipse was near its peak, and with it the world seemed to tremble. The hollow star is rewriting time, Dax said, his voice heavy with dread. He was watching the monitors that tracked the energy pulses. It's not just influencing memories. It's trying to reshape the past, make us believe we've always been a part of it. Riven, standing beside him, said nothing. Her face was pale, her expression haunted. There was no joy in her eyes, only the familiar pull of the hollow star's influence, tugging at the edges of her mind. We can't stop it. We never could, she said softly, the words echoing in the room. Nyra turned to them both, voice tight with urgency. We sealed it. The hollow star is locked beneath the earth. It should have stayed that way. It was never meant to stay locked, Riven replied, her eyes flickering. It was always meant to rise again. The Primarchs knew this. They created this cycle. Deep below. The hollow star's heart at the heart of the ancient city beneath. The earth, the hollow star pulsed. Though sealed, it could never truly be contained. The ancient prison was now nothing more than a fragile barrier. The consciousness of the hollow star reached out, touching every mind, warping their thoughts, erasing the boundaries of time and space. It wanted them to join, to become a part of it. It had been a silent watcher, patiently biding its time, waiting for its moment to break free. Now, that moment had arrived. Inside the tower, where the final lock once held the hollow star captive, there was only a silent echo, a strange, otherworldly hum that reverberated throughout the chamber. It wasn't an explosion. It wasn't a sudden burst of energy. It was a shift. The air felt thick, like something had torn through the very fabric of reality itself. The final decision. Riven stood before the now dissolving seal, her hand trembling. "It's happening again," she whispered. "The cycle is beginning. The hollow star will pull us all in, whether we want it or not." Dax's voice was firm, determined. "No, we still have a choice. We don't have to fall into this. We can still break the cycle." Riven shook her head. "How? We are connected. You can't break free. I've seen the truth. This is our destiny." Nyra's voice came from behind them, cutting through the tension. "We've fought this far, haven't we? We don't just accept destiny, we create it." Riven looked up, meeting Nyra's eyes. There was a flicker of hope, but it was faint. She had been so close to the hollow star, its mind in hers, offering the promise of ascension. The allure of it was still there, pulling at her. "But we're so close," Riven whispered. "One final step, and we could become something more." Dax's hand was on her shoulder. "What more? What future is there in being part of something that consumes everything? This isn't ascension. It's annihilation." Riven's eyes shone with conflicted emotion. I don't know anymore." Then she turned to face the hollow star's pulsating core, her voice breaking with emotion. "We were never meant to stop it. We were meant to join it. The eclipse, a choice. The sky above the earth was now consumed by the eclipse. The energy from the hollow star was starting to warp the atmosphere itself, the world trembling with every pulse. Nyra stepped forward. "If we don't stop it now, if we don't break the cycle, the hollow star will rewrite everything. History, our reality. We'll become part of it forever." Dax's eyes narrowed. "But what if we don't have to destroy it? What if we can make it work for us instead? Use its power to change things, to reshape the future." "You really believe that?" "Nyra," asked her voice cold, "this isn't some tool to be used, it's a force that feeds on everything it touches." Riven's voice trembled. Maybe that's what the Primarchs knew. They knew the hollow star could never be defeated. So they locked it away, hoping that the next generation, the next cycle, would be able to live with it, to become more than just humanity. The tower began to hum again, the air thick with energy. Reality warped. The hollow star's consciousness was closing in, its pull becoming almost unbearable. Dax looked to Nyra. "What do we do?" Nyra hesitated. For a moment everything seemed frozen in time. Then she made her decision. "We break the cycle, we stop it from feeding on us." Breaking the cycle as the hollow star's influence surged, Nyra activated the final protocol. The Primarchs had left behind one last hidden failsafe, a way to turn the hollow star's own energy against it. But it would come at a cost. Dax stepped forward, voice resolute. "We can't let it win. Not this time." He linked his neural interface to the system, feeling the surge of energy rushing through him. He could feel the mind of the hollow star trying to connect to him, to pull him in. He clenched his teeth, fighting back the urge to succumb. And then, with one final push, he activated the failsafe. The feedback loop hit. For a split second, everything went black. The aftermath. A new dawn when the light returned. The eclipse had passed. The hollow star's influence had dissipated, and the distortions in reality began to fade. The stars in the sky returned to their proper place, the atmosphere settled, and the world was still. But something had changed. Humanity had broken the cycle. The hollow star's pull was gone, but its legacy would remain. In the minds of those who had touched it. In the new consciousness that now ran through humanity's veins. Riven stood at the edge of the control center, looking out at the horizon. There was no feeling of ascension, no sudden leap into godhood, no grand transformation. But there was peace. The hollow star was gone, for now, and humanity had lived to see a new dawn. Epilogue. Location, Earth. The new age, the world had changed. The global landscape, once marked by uncertainty and fear of the hollow star's awakening, now found itself slowly recovering. The skies, once twisted and dark with the weight of the unknown, were now clear. People walked through the streets with cautious optimism, their minds free from the invasive presence of the hollow star, though they couldn't shake the feeling that something profound had shifted. They weren't the same as before. Humanity had stepped into a new age, but the true cost of breaking the cycle would only reveal itself in time. Riven's journey. Riven stood at the edge of the cliff, staring at the horizon. The sea stretched out before her, its surface calm and endless. The wind tugged at her hair, but she didn't feel its pull the way she used to. She was no longer the person she had been before the hollow star. She could still hear its whispers, in the corners of her mind, faint and distant now, but still there. A part of her always would be. She closed her eyes, feeling the weight of the decision she had made. The hollow star had offered ascension, power beyond imagination. It had tempted her, promised her the ability to reshape everything. But in the end, it was humanity that had triumphed. But what did it mean to be human now? The memories, fragments of the future, of worlds and lives that never were, still haunted her. And yet, for the first time since they had sealed the hollow star, she felt a sense of peace, a quiet understanding that no matter the cost, they had chosen their own fate. The hollow star was gone, but the legacy of what it had shown them remained. And perhaps that was a gift in itself, the knowledge that they were capable of creating their own path. Dax's reflection, Dax, stood alone in the old Bastion core, now repurposed as a research facility. It was quieter now, the hum of the hollow, Star's influence no longer reverberating through the walls. The team had disbanded, each member going their own way, their lives forever marked by the journey they had undertaken. He stood before the console, his fingers grazing the glass that once monitored the hollow star's energy readings. The data was still stored here, a reminder of what they had faced. He hadn't erased it, couldn't bring himself to. Dax had seen what the hollow star could offer. It had promised an evolution, a future where humanity ascended into something beyond. And yet what had happened when they resisted? They had found a way to take control, to choose their own destiny. But could they? Could anyone? The knowledge that the hollow star had shared with him lingered in his thoughts. The question he had once asked, the one that kept him up at night, still remained. What if the hollow star had been right? But deep down he knew it wasn't about the power it had offered. It was about choice. Humanity had made their own. And in doing so, they had reaffirmed what it meant to be truly alive, to shape their own future, to face the unknown, and to live without the certainty of destiny being forced upon them. Naira's vision. Naira had been to the edge of the world. She had stood in the heart of the hollow star's domain, seen its power, and witnessed the potential destruction it could bring. But she had also seen something else, the resolve of those who had chosen to fight, to resist. Back in the capital, she stood in the quiet of the rebuilt city, looking out at the new skyline. The old world was gone, and in its place was a fragile new order. Earth was still healing, but there was hope now. Hope that humanity could continue on without the weight of cosmic forces looming over them. She had made the hard choice, the one that had brought them all together. She had been the catalyst, the one who had believed that breaking the cycle was worth the sacrifice, even if she didn't understand the full cost. But now, in the stillness of this new age, she could see that it was worth it. The hollow star was gone, but something had changed within her. She had touched something ancient. She could feel the resonance, the knowledge of something greater, still hum beneath her skin. The question remained, what would the future hold now? The hollow star had shown them the potential of the universe, but it had also shown them the dark path of submission. What had once seemed like ascension had become a prison, but now humanity was free. And Naira knew this freedom would come with its own challenges. The hollow star had left an imprint, not just on them, but on the very fabric of the world. They would have to navigate a future where the boundaries of reality had shifted, where time itself had been warped. The echoes, in the quiet after the storm, in the time that followed the eclipse, the Earth continued to spin. But for the few who had touched the hollow star, there was always a lingering sensation, a distant echo. The hollow star might have been sealed, but its influence was woven into the fabric of who they were now. And it was a quiet warning. The hollow star had never truly been defeated. It had merely been waiting for the right moment to return. Somewhere in the deep recesses of their minds, the hollow star's whispers never fully ceased. It was still there, still watching, still calling. But for now, humanity had its moment. A moment to rebuild, to redefine what it meant to be human in the face of a universe that had tried to consume them. And perhaps one day, when the stars aligned again, the hollow star would rise once more. But until then, humanity would stand guard, ready for whatever came next. The end. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the story. Let me know in the comments what ideas you would like the next story to be about. Please leave a thumbs up, share, subscribe, comment.